So today we're going to do something a little different with Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's Dream Count. We're not just going to talk about what it's about. We're going to dive deep into its architecture, a completely spoiler-free look at how this collection is built and why that structure makes it so unbelievably powerful.
But let's start with a question, because it's the one that Adichie plants right at the very heart of this work. What does it mean for someone to be truly known, to be truly believed, especially when their reality, their truth, is just inconvenient for the world around them? Just hold that thought, because everything in this book is built to answer it.
Okay, first things first, and this is super important, this isn't a novel. It's a collection of 4 distinct but really deeply connected stories. And you have to understand that, because the book's real achievement is in its structure. Adichie isn't just telling stories. She's meticulously building an argument, piece by piece.
So we follow 4 Nigerian women. 3 of them are pretty privileged, with all the resources and status that comes with that. One is a working-class immigrant, and even though their circumstances are worlds apart, they're all on this shared, desperate search for agency, for belief, in worlds that seem designed to silence them. This right here is where Adichie's genius really shines through, in the construction of her argument. We're not just reading these stories for what they are, we're meant to see how they're curated. You have to ask yourself, why these 4 stories? Why put them in this specific order? The brilliance of Dream Count isn't just in the individual parts, it's in the staggering intentional power of the whole thing.
The collection kicks off with this very quiet, internal exploration. It uses the forced isolation of a lockdown to trigger what the character calls a dream count, which is this painful inventory of past loves, of regrets, of missed opportunities. It's a story defined by a certain kind of privilege, right? The privilege of having the time and the space for that kind of deep, painful self-reflection.
And from there, the tone just completely shifts. The second story is this raw, almost clinically visceral account of childbirth. Adichie's writing here is just unflinching. She places extreme physical trauma side by side with the incredible emotional pain of abandonment. It's such a powerful look at what the body has to endure.
And then we get to what feels like the thesis of the entire book. The third story is about an immigrant housekeeper who's trying to navigate the aftermath of an assault. But her trauma is met not with justice, but with this bureaucratic legal system that's obsessed with her past. It effectively puts her credibility on trial instead of the crime itself. This is the absolute heart of the collection's central question.
The final story adds another really complex layer, this time looking at power from the inside. Yeah, it gets into the world of political corruption, but its real focus is on how isolating power can be, and that quiet, desperate search for an authentic self inside a world that feels completely compromised.
The real genius of this collection is how it frames that legal injustice. See, Adichie doesn't present it in a vacuum. She forces us, the reader, to contrast this one woman's public, legal trauma, where she is actively being disbelieved by a system, with the private, internal traumas of the other women who have the luxury of quiet reflection. It's nothing short of a structural masterpiece.
And if we're just talking about technical skill, my gosh, the execution is breathtaking. The prose is flawless. It's somehow both clinically precise and so deeply empathetic. The pacing is masterful, shifting from the frantic energy of lockdown angst to the slow, suffocating tension of an interrogation room. And like we've been saying, the structure isn't just coherent, it is the argument.
But okay, beyond all the technical talk, what does it actually feel like to read this book? Well, I think it comes down to 2 words: suffocating and necessary. This is not an easy read, and it's absolutely not meant to be.
That central narrative, especially, is an exercise in what you could only call procedural horror. You don't just read about the injustice, you feel it. The unfairness becomes this palpable thing, a weight that is so frustrating and enraging in a way that only masterful storytelling can actually achieve.
And you know what? That feeling is the whole point. This is a book that just gets into your head and stays there long after you put it down. It demands that you think about the invisible, unequal economies of pain in our world. Who gets to hurt in private and who is forced to prove their pain in public?
So, where do we land on this? What's the final verdict? Well, Dream Count isn't just a collection of stories about empathy. It is, in its very construction, a feat of structural empathy. The book's architecture is literally designed to make you feel the connections and the disparities between these women's lives.
And this is where we have to separate subjective taste from objective quality. The experience, the taste, is it heavy? Yes. Suffocating and challenging? Absolutely. But the execution, the quality, it is objectively flawless.
The thematic and architectural strength of this collection is it's undeniable.
So who should read this? Well, it's essential for fans of serious, contemporary literary fiction. It's for anyone who wants complex and challenging feminist narratives that go way beyond easy answers. But I think most of all, this is for readers who appreciate an author who trusts them enough to sit with profound discomfort to get to a deeper truth.
In the end, what Adichie achieves here is just profound. Through the sheer brilliance of her curation, she takes the specific, intimate stories of 4 individuals and uses them to tell a universal story about belief, about injustice, and about resilience. Dream Count uses the story of 4 women to tell the story of them all.